Smart one.
Thank you. It's not a wedding.
What were you going to say, George?
Not as smart as him.
Okay, all right. Thoughts when you look back on last weekend's game then? Well, something you could have won, really.
Well, yeah, we need to build on that. Certainly, second 45 minutes we were excellent. First 45 maybe less so, but I think if we replicate what we produced in the second half against Spurs, which very nearly got us maximum points, then we'd be more than happy, because that was a top level performance in the second half.
What do you learn from that second half, that second 45 minutes, to take on into this next game?
It's fine margins where we compete in the Premier League, and if you're not quite where you need to be in terms of obviously closing down and all aspects of your defensive play, and just being able to get that half yard closer to people, which I think was the only thing that was lacking. Obviously, having watched it again, it's not as marked as I felt it was on the day, but it's that perception at half time certainly that we just weren't quite able to get close enough. And that half yard makes a difference, but second half we addressed that and we're much better, and in fact Spurs found it very difficult to get near us, so we turned it right round.
Everybody, well, the away fans going there were hoping to see Shaqiri, but they didn't see him, but they saw Stephen Ireland possibly for the first time.
Yeah, well, they've seen Stephen since he's been at the club, and they know he's a good player. I said after the game, I've probably given Stephen a disservice in terms of the amount of game time I've been able to give him. But in fairness, during his time here, he's been very unlucky. Whenever he's had a run in the side, more often than not, he's gone out with the team through injury and hasn't been able to get back in. It's not a reflection on the ability that he has. It's just, it seems that circumstances have gone against him on 2 or 3 occasions where he was playing well in the team and unfortunately went out with injuries. So we know the talent he has. He's very well regarded, not only by me but by the coaches and by his teammates as well. So we know what he can produce.
Do you expect to see that again against Norwich? I mean, if he does play like that, you play him every game.
Yes, he's a good player. It's I think the key for me was that he was able to come on and make an impact, very similar to Joselu in fairness, and that encourages me because that shows that they're fully engaged in the game. That they're not upset that they're not in the first 11. We have to make sure this year, and I've emphasised this, that we've got a big squad and everybody will be needed, and that really encouraged me that senior players who were obviously disappointed not to be in the first 11 were fully engaged in the game and waiting for their opportunity, and when they were given that, they came on and had an impact, and that's what we'll need this year. We know through experience from last year that it's a long season, and at times you lose key personnel to injuries, suspensions, or whatever it may be. So people have to be ready to come in and make an impact, and it looks like it's going to be the same this year with obviously the performance of Joselu and Stephen when they were introduced.
Will we see Shaqiri this weekend?
I would think so at some point. There's decisions to be made in terms of who starts the game and who starts from the bench, but for the most part I've got a healthy squad and there's not too many absentees, so be some key decisions to make.
What's it been like in training?
Been very good. I think possibly although at the time we didn't appreciate the fact that we were told that he was suspended, I think given the fact he's had another week's training with the group, it's probably better for him. If I'd have been tempted to throw him in after just a light training session on the Thursday and Friday, then he might have maybe not hit the heights that we feel he certainly will do. So having had an extra week, he's more integrated in the group, so we think he's got a better chance of making an impact.
Have you looked at him in training and thought, yes, he's worth that money?
Well, you never know. With every signing, there's always an element of risk. When you go and shop at a different level, which we feel certainly we have done this time, then the guarantee is a little bit better, I would suggest. It's a significant amount of money for us. Obviously, it's our record deal, but we think we bought the right quality and the right person to bring into the group, and feel sure that as the season unravels, then certainly he'll be a big player for us this year.
What's your reading of your opposition so far this season?
Well, he had a good result. important for them. Obviously, bounced back opening day defeat, but had a great performance on the road. So they'll be good in a good frame of mind. But they've got a lot of experience. I think if you look at the team, it's not unlike the team that was in the Premier League a couple of seasons back. So they'll benefit from that understanding of the Premier League, which maybe other teams that come up from the Championship don't have the benefit of. So I think they've certainly got good players. They like to pass the ball. They've got good pace in key areas of the field as well. So we won't take them lightly at all. They're a challenge. It's always a difficult fixture, Norwich away. Always has been over the years, and always have good backing. Always good crowd, good atmosphere there. So we're looking forward to it.
And a student young manager, a little bit Ferguson-esque. Some people have suggested in the way he goes.
Well, it sounds like him. I don't know if he has all the qualities that Sir Alex has, but no, he's not a guy that I knew too much of. Obviously, when he was north of the border, but obviously had a big reputation there. Came down and did a fantastic job to get them up. So he's going to enjoy his time in the Premier League. He's made an impact, and that's what you have to do when you're a young manager.
Just finally for me, can I just ask you about the offside decision in the Liverpool-Bournemouth game?
It was offside.
What was your reading of it? No,
it's offside.
No, but you'd have had a ref come in at some point and explain the new rules to you. So when they explained it to you and when you watched that game, did they differ? Or?
No, I think it was always difficult. We had I had the meeting with all the managers, and obviously the change to the interpretation of the offside rule was a key part of the presentation that the referees presented to us. Obviously there were different examples of how and when the rule will be applied differently, and there was about 3 or 4 examples. I think actually the goal we conceded against Man United, I think that was one of the key examples on the day to illustrate that actually that would be disallowed now, and rightly so in our view. So the intent and the adjustment of the rule, I think, is correct, but obviously when you get the opportunity to enforce it on the first occasion as officials, as a group of officials, then they have to get it right. And unfortunately the first occasion they've got to illustrate the point to people that this is how it's going to be ruled from this point onwards, they missed it. So that's not as it should be, let's put it that way.
Mark, Boyan played in that under-21s game last Saturday, so that would suggest full 90 minutes there as well. That maybe this weekend is the weekend we might see him back involved.
I made a decision. I've had conversations with Boyan, so he knows my thinking in terms of where he is and what he needs to do. But he's progressing really, really well, and we're delighted with where he is. Had the 90 minutes, which was an important thing for him. But I'm mindful we've got a game on Tuesday as well, so that comes into my thinking a little bit, and a number of the guys will be involved in that as well. So whether or not I make the decision on him or others to be involved at the weekend, or wait to give him more significant time on Tuesday, we'll just have to wait and see.
And if whether it's this weekend or not, when it does come, that prospect of having Shaqiri and Boyan together in the same team, the fans must be hugely excited about that, and you must be excited about that.
Yeah, I think everybody's really enthused by what possibly may be ahead in terms of selection and the team that we can give out. But it's about getting the balance right, the balance of our attacking threat, and obviously the other elements defensively, what we have to make sure we're strong in that area as well. So it's about getting the balance right. That will be obviously my role. I'll have to make sure I make the right decision in terms of the combinations, different combinations that we have against different opposition. That different opposition will give us different challenges, and we'll need different personnel possibly. So it's not going to be a case of week in, week out I'll pick the same team. I think that's unrealistic. I think in this day and age it's a case of looking who you're up against, looking at the quality that you have available, and then using the best combination of that quality to overcome the opposition. So that's maybe a little bit different from what it has been in the past year.
Just to run through the other names, Mark Wilson played last week as well, so he should be okay.
Yep.
And then Pete Redden, when his hamstring.
Yeah, he's not available.
Okay, and John John Walters was ill.
John Walters was ill. He trained for the first time today, yeah, but he should be okay.
And that's it. Everyone else.
Yes, as far as I'm aware.
One final question. So it's been 2 matches into the season now. Only 1 point out of that, but encouraging performances all round. What's kind of your assessment so far? How pleased are you on the scale of being pleased?
No, I think early season games, ideally you want maximum points. But we've had 2 hard fixtures, but I think you take encouragement from the level of performance that you're able to produce in the early games, and certainly against Liverpool we deserved something out of the game. I think that was what everybody felt on the day, that even if you're not particularly a Stoke City supporter, I think even Liverpool supporters acknowledged that we were worthy of something out of that game. At Spurs, I think they acknowledged that maybe we should have had maximum points. So in terms of performance, we're quite happy. Results-wise, we feel we probably should have had more points on the board, but that will come if we keep the level of performances that we've produced up to this point. We'll improve as well as the season goes on, as everybody else will, I'm sure. But we're encouraged by what we've done in the first 2 games, certainly.
Not top.
Oh, one more.
Just looking ahead to the Norwich game, obviously they're coming to that game on the back of a decent result against the Sunderland side. How important do you think it is, from your point of view, to get that first win on the board?
Yeah, it's an important thing. I think it's more about getting points on the board as quick as you can. Not necessarily maximum points. I think it's really important that we took something out of the Spurs game, because back-to-back defeats would have been a little bit hard on us, and that would have been a little bit more psychologically, a little bit more damaging for us. So given the circumstances of the Spurs game and our ability to come back from 2-0 down, I think that encourages us rather than disappoints us. So we're in decent shape. We've got a point on the board, which we needed to do, and now we're looking to build our season. We've got good games coming up. Obviously difficult going to Norwich, but it's a game that we'd back ourselves in, and then we've got home games coming up very quickly after that. So it's a key period. We want to start well. We want to have a good start in the season, because that will sustain us in the second half of the season, hopefully.
And obviously you've brought in a few players over the transfer window. How is everyone sort of settling in?
Very well. Yeah, excellent. We've obviously done due diligence on the players that we've brought in. We brought in good technical players, excellent football players, but we've brought in good individuals as well. And that's been borne out just by the way they've integrated into the group since they've been here. And it's pleasing that we've been able to do our business quite early as well. So a number of them have been with us for 3-4 weeks now, and I think that shows in terms of the strength of the group. And I think you saw that at the weekend when we were able to turn around a 2-0 deficit, and that comes from the group being strong together. So we're encouraged by that as well.
And bringing in these technical players and these sort of different style of play, does it change the way you kind of hold your training?
No, not particularly. No, we work at the ball every single day. That doesn't change the level of quality that I see on a daily basis. Arguably is a lot higher now than it was when I first walked through the door. That's not disrespectful to the other guys, but they were different type of players that possibly have left now. But the group, it's a pleasure for me to watch the training at the moment, because the quality of play that I see, both collectively and individually, is really, really high. So as I said, it's very enjoyable at the moment going into training.
And we're not too far away from the end of the transfer window now. Have you got your eye on anybody else? Or?
We've done a lot of good business, so we're reasonably happy. We never close the door on any possible deals if they make sense and they're the right quality. But it's fair to say I don't think there's any urgency from our point of view to go back into the market to bring more players in. I think we're in decent shape. But as I said, with the proviso that if something reared its head that we felt was possible and made sense to us, then we'd pursue that. But we'll have to wait and see.
Lots of tough starting games against Spurs and Liverpool. I think there's a lot of Stoke fans think that going to Norwich is going to be a walk in the park in comparison. But it's tough to get. I think the last time you beat Norwich, I think the current manager Doncaster put in a couple of goals for you about 10 years ago. So it's
Well,
not an easy place to get a result.
No, it's all no. As I said, it's always been a ground where they have big numbers watching them, good atmosphere. Difficult place to go. Over the years, I've played against Norwich teams when they were challenging for Premier League titles way back when. So they've got good history as well in the Premier League. So not an easy fixture by any stretch of the imagination. But we were encouraged by being able to go to the likes of Spurs and White Hart Lane and really take the game to a good Spurs side. So hopefully we'll be in a position to do that against Norwich, because we've got the talent in the group. We just got to have that ability to impose our game on the opposition, which thankfully we were able to do against Spurs.
Will you be tempted to sort of keep back some of the players you want to introduce for a home debut? Like,
No.
playing at Norwich?
Yeah, I take your point. I think we're mindful that we've got a game on Tuesday as well. It's not a case of splitting the group or whatever. We won't do anything as radical as that. It's the key is the next game. That's our focus. But I do have a mind because we have got guys that haven't had game time. It will be an opportunity to make sure the whole group is in good fettle and in good shape fitness wise. So I'll use that game without ever putting hopefully the result at risk on Tuesday. But we'll be strong in both games. So there's decision to be made yet. We'll see how they are tomorrow. Obviously we don't want to lose any players tomorrow prior to the game of the weekend, but obviously at the end of training then that can shape the personnel for each game. Okay, thanks guys.